Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third and final round at the 2022 United States Amateur Disc Golf Championships. This PDGA major concluding on Championship Sunday at the famed Toboggan course, presenting sponsors being Discraft. As I said, a major event for our amateurs. Crew 42, the disc golf guy, along with Gatekeeper Media, all working with PDGA Media. And I'm joined by Wes Shinevar, Team Stamp Wes. It's been pretty incredible to see. And Wes, let's take a look. Zachary holding on to the lead. He opened the day with a two-stroke lead. He was all knotted up a moment ago, but now he has a single-stroke advantage over Paul and Ilkin, lingering right there at 7 under. You ready for this back nine?
Yeah, we've got a tight one here. We get right into hole 10, which is the second hardest hole on the course, playing about a half stroke over par. This was a change for this year. Players are used to seeing the basket in this flat area right here, but it has been pushed down this tree hallway and up the hill, really making full use of the hills out here at the Toboggan course. We've seen from past tee shots, if you're a little bit more left at the top of the hill, you seem to have some better options to attack the basket. Anything on the right is a little bit more pinched off. And we see Zach landing in just that spot we were talking about here.
Yeah, and the nose was up on that. I feel like he could have gained even more distance had he just gotten the nose down, but still solid power to put him in a good spot over there. Here's Paul. And filtering through what looks like almost everything and in good position.
Yeah, he'll be able to see the basket from there. He'll kind of have a tough angle to approach, but he's got something to work with. And Ilkin landing a little bit further than Zach did there, kind of up on the flat of the hill on that left side.
We'll have to see if that one tree or bush there comes into play or affects what he needs to do next. And this is a great low line drive by Braeden.
That one
Nobody
branch,
would be. Yeah, go ahead.
Wow, that one branch you see is the one to beat, and he did that.
Yeah, no one would be disappointed with that end result for sure. Asking for it to just get up there, and it's done just that.
Wow.
And our leader says, we're heading into the back nine. I hear the footsteps, but I'm going to keep my foot on the gas here.
Braeden with a good up there. He's most of the way up the hill with a look at it.
Actually, this is Braeden. That was Ilkin with a forehand. And Braeden, though, I think you called it ahead of time. That is a good approach as well. He's got to look for birdie.
And really two positions of note there for attacking this hole. You know, we saw Braeden kind of beat the branch that hangs out, and we saw Zach go a little bit more left side.
And that's going to be disappointing for Paul. He had the best drive of the group. Really not a difficult lane or angle to get to the pin, and ultimately caught the tree. So that's going to be a pitch up next to the basket. And I feel like we've seen a few of those already this round. Ilkin, long looks for birdie. Not able to convert.
Oh, and a great birdie by Braeden. We talked about him righting the ship after a tough first couple of holes there. And Paul still takes a par on this hole. That's still a really good score with this one playing about a half stroke over par on average.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see how so many of our top professionals attack this hole when D-Glow comes to town in just a few weeks.
Yeah, 2 of the 4 birdies on this hole for the day. We get to watch them on coverage.
Lead card things as we move over to hole 11.
Yeah, hole 11, we're going back down the hill. This one you can kind of go up and over these trees, or you can play this fairway the way that the drone is flying here, kind of through the middle of those. This is a very difficult hole, both on distance and on angle, and the green is a little precarious as well. 512 feet. Really difficult change, I think, to this hole. for this year.
Yet again, high on the angle. I would have loved to see that with the nose down just a little bit more, because he clearly has the distance to get to the pin, but he put it up with a high angle on the front of the disc, and ultimately it was stalling out on him. Here's Braeden, and I like the initial angle. It just needed to keep turning. And that
this is a tough one. Similar to hole 1, you're coming down the hill, and so really committing to that angle to hold something over is really difficult with all the elevation that you're going down.
And that carries deep and left. When you're looking at 11, I find it very similar to what the shot that is required on hole number 9. And I know that on 9, it's a little more straight, and 11, you're looking to go Anheuser off of it, but the holes kind of line up in a similar fashion, and somewhat similar shots are required. And anything that hyzers out is going to be way down a hill.
Yeah, I think the important part of this one is to really chew off as much distance as you can. There were not a lot of birdies on this hole on the final round here, just 3 birdies in total. So getting par here is just really crucial for these guys.
And Braeden will have no problems walking away with the par.
Ilkin looks like he has other thoughts in mind.
Lining up yet another stepper.
Oh, that one doesn't connect either. You can see he's really given himself a lot of opportunities, and he's expecting himself to cash in on a couple of these, but he hits the comebacker for par.
Yeah, and I know I mentioned it in the previous round. He is very methodical with his setups, usually for what is a birdie putt more often than not. And then his comebackers, there's almost no thought. He just walks right up there and jams them in. Interesting philosophy, I will say, to taking to your putting. And it's clearly been working for him.
We see our lead card just cashing in with a bunch of pars on this one. No harm, no foul. They get out of there clean from 11.
Back up a hill.
What a theme out here, Terry.
Yeah.
344 feet, one of the shorter holes on the course. This tree that we're flying by on the left is really the guardian that you want to beat. Something that kind of flips to flat and continues to carry up this hill will give these guys a look for the birdie. It looked really good out of Zach's hand, but he's going to have probably about a 60-foot look up the hill from there. Good safe drive to give himself an opportunity.
The 60-footer that might feel like an 85-footer with the hillside. Good move on it by Braeden. And that's going to be just outside of the circle, so good-looking drive there.
Yeah, I think an interesting note on this one, especially for a righty backhand player, is that you can climb the hill and still, hyzer out to the left and have a good look at the basket. On some holes, there's a lot more danger left to right, but this one's a little bit more open on that left side.
Yeah, great point. And the other way that I would just word that same exact thing is you just can't miss right. I mean, missing left gives you those opportunities, like you just said. Whatever you do, just don't throw it right. And we saw a lot of that in round 2, but they have made some great adjustments. And Ilkin CTP, great drive.
Oh, we see Zach give that one a bid. This one, as we know, high roll-away potential, potentially going all the way back down that hill. So if your disc does not go in the basket, you're keeping a close eye on it, maybe giving it a shout to sit down.
Yeah, you're usually holding your breath with every disc that does, every attempt that doesn't go in here. But that's grabbing right side chain, falling into the basket. Paul having an incredible round out here. Bogey free, him and Ilkin.
And they're going to pick up a stroke on the leader.
And the battle remains close.
This one's getting good, Terry.
Now we're getting good. Heading down the hill on 13.
Yeah, 13, what we'll call a classic hole out here at the Toboggan, 526 feet. Players need to get down to this hallway here, ideally in the hallway or with an open look to approach the basket. A 2 extremely difficult on this hole.
I laid up.
All going with what is usually a more aggressive forehand shot, but he lands right down there in the flat in the middle. That's a good drive.
That looks tight.
Yeah, and he's kind of right side, just off that hallway. You know, that's a tough spot. If he's a little bit more to the right, there is actually a little alley over there. He's kind of caught in between the two spots to get through. This looks like it's hyzering a little early as well.
Yeah, it was tracking. I like the shot, but then it hit the tree and then kicked hard right. And now we've got Braeden going with the forehand, and that is coming in hot. Oh, gets the skip off the path and puts himself on the dance floor. What a shot on the tee of 13.
Yeah, Braeden showing us how he earned his way onto this lead card here on this back nine.
And there's one of the alleyways that you were talking about. We saw Gary attempt to go through that right side during round number 1, and our leader, Zach, had no problem as Ilkin's able to just pitch a forehand up and underneath the basket.
Really great shot by both those guys. That area over there looks a lot more open than it is. There's still a lot of vines, big trees to navigate through. Those guys both do well with it.
And Braeden picks up the birdie. Quite elusive here on 13. I can't imagine there were many.
No, there were only 3 birdies on the day on this hole. We'll give a shout out to Austin Bates and Hudson Brewster were the other 2.
Solid work, as Paul will be content then to walk away with the 3. Yeah, certainly a bonus birdie. I may have said it before, but this hole it's a bonus to get the birdie, but it also feels really, really bad to walk away with a 4, more than maybe some of the other challenging par 3s out on this course. Ilkin will tap in, and the lone man to score the birdie isn't threatening the lead, the lead or the leaders, but great birdie nonetheless as we head back up the hill on 14.
Yeah, new tee pad on 14. This one got pushed back to add a little more distance. 837. Players are going to be looking to get up to about the crest of this hill and then blast one up the hill to this very difficult green over on the left side. This hole playing at 4.37 on the day, so actually like all of the holes playing over par in round 3. Surprised to see.
See the chase card covered by Crew 42. Make sure you check that out. On the right side of this fairway is the fairway of 15, and on the left side of the fairway is the fairway of hole number 3. So if that puts it in perspective, utilizing these hills in every possible way. And if you, of course, rewind yourself to the very first days of the YouTubes and the internets, this is the famous hill where so many disc golf and discraft instructional videos were shot and filmed and are quite iconic and forever in our history books for early disc golf tutorial content.
You see Zach kind of going over by that old short pad. We had mentioned a little before, between right and left, you'd rather be a little bit more left. The hyzer angle sets up a little better for these righties when you can go up the hill and then finish to the left. Braeden puts a really good flex on that one, but he's still got some distance to chew off to get to the top of the hill there. I think that's 2 hat catches in the same hole here.
Yeah, you got to start thinking about what the record is, right? I mean, 1 or 2, per round or whatever, but 2 per hole. I hope for his sake there doesn't have to be a third. And this is a really solid drive by Paul. It's going to come up short, but it at least gives him a look at the basket. And this is the left side over here for Ilkin. Does he have the power? He's got the power, but he didn't have the height. And that I would consider a missed opportunity for someone of his power. He's definitely looking to put himself right there for the birdie. And now he's going to have a long attempt if he wants it.
Yeah, and you kind of start thinking about what holes are left at this point, and Ilkin, knowing that he's 2 strokes behind, is thinking that he would love to have a birdie here to bring it within 1. Really nice approach shot there by Braeden. Ilkin will have this long attempt. Oh, nearly draws it up.
And he has been, as you said, hunting all day for those. Here's Paul trying to get a share of the lead. And again, a solid bid, just not quite on. Ilkin will tap in.
Paul with the par there as well. Looks like these got
a little bit of cleanup here.
Yeah, just a little cleanup. There was only 1 birdie on hole 14 on the final day here. Bryson Haft. These guys not really losing any strokes to the field with just pars.
Back down the hill, I was going to say daunting. This is just a monster. This is a beast.
Yeah, beast of a hole 15. Calling this one a par 4 is tough for our amateur competitors. 960 feet. You're going down the hill, have to navigate through this hallway, and then across the gully to this basket that sits squarely on that hillside. This has been our hardest hole all 3 days of competition out here. Braeden with a good drive. Really anything that gives you a look through that hallway is good. You just do not want to come up short left or go too long right.
And anytime the spotter doesn't even really have to run or hunt it down at all is a good sign. Solid shot there by Paul. Here's Ilkin trying to improve on his effort that we saw in round 2. And depending on how it ultimately nestles off that tree, but unfortunately it looks like he's going to be tight to it. And that not having a run up there really essentially takes you out of contention for birdie.
Yeah, I would agree, Terry. He does have a really good forehand, as we know, so par is definitely still in the cards. Our lead card here really navigating this hole well. There's so much trouble to find on this hole off the tee.
And I may have underplayed it a little bit. That's an incredible shot, first and foremost, and maybe with a little more power, he could have possibly still gotten to the pin. Either way, that's at least a par and a long look for birdie.
Yeah, that was from a pinched off standstill too. Incredible shot by Ilkin.
I know. I feel bad. I was kind of ruling out the idea, and certainly it could be done by Ilkin. And here's in the middle. No problems there for Paul.
Yeah, he'll be on the downslope of that. As we've talked about, footing is a little tricky when you get on those downslopes. I'll be curious to see if he goes with the standstill or tries to go with the run up from there.
Oh, God. Wow.
And off the mark for Zach. He still has a good lane here. Of all kicks, anything left or right of that tree would have given him a look still. So he's just glad he's not pinched directly behind it. But this is turning over and not quite enough.
Yeah, we saw he kind of had that tree on the left there. He has sort of lean out of the shot a little bit, and so his disc sort of follows and pulls off to the right there. And this green position is a little bit tricky because you have that sort of just low-lying land in between it. You can see the top of the hill, and you can see the basket. It's kind of tough to gauge the distance of how much land there is between the top of the hill and the basket. Really common for us to see shots kind of come up short because it's easy to misjudge that.
Paul has a look for par. Ilkin also the little one-stepper should have that for par. However, as you said, with them running out of holes, everyone realizing where they are relative to one another, and if you weren't feeling pressure earlier, somehow you were able to suppress it. Now you certainly have to be thinking about what's left and who's got the opportunities to score in which position they're in.
Yeah, you said it, Terry. These guys have really played this round pretty well, but this is definitely where the pressure starts to ramp up. We got 3 guys within 2 strokes here on our card. Probably no surprise, but there were no birdies on hole 15 today either, averaging almost a full stroke over par just as the first 2 days.
And did we see 3 or less birdies for the weekend?
Yeah, I believe so.
So hole number 15 providing plenty of challenge as they try to close out their round. And 15 has really, I feel like, set a tone for the remainder of the round for some of our players. We saw it in round 1. Some people just ran right into the brick wall here. That's 15. Round 2, I think we saw Ilkin with a bogey or a double bogey possibly. It can really crush you as you're trying to close out your round. We see some struggles here with some bogeys. Now we head over to hole number 16. You can see it, but it's not that accessible, or is it?
Yeah, it's just right there, 400 feet in front of you downhill, but the line to get there is extremely tight. As you can see, this drone is flying. There are trees to the left, trees to the right. I think the big key on this one is to really try and get down there within about 45, 50 feet and give yourself a birdie opportunity and avoid the danger. This play off to the left has kind of been a common shot. You know, it's a little bit easier shot to throw something on just a little hyzer pop-up and get yourself down there about in the position I was describing. Ilkin not happy with that one.
And he gets past the tree, but it does come in low and short. Your co-leader now, Zach.
First time we've said that in a while.
Think back all the way to hole 7, we saw some strokes exchanged all over the place, and Zach was in the lead and now tied for the lead. And that gets all the way through, no problem on the approach.
That's a really great scramble. We talked about the pressure mounting. That was a difficult line and really good execution by Ilkin.
Don't flex out too much now.
Oh, and Zach gets himself out in the open there too with a good chance. Braeden gives that one a bid.
Yeah, and this is the difficulty I speak of on this hole is if you're over on this left side and you have to still get through that goalpost of those 2 trees, there's just no ceiling. So you're really just looking to pitch it up next to the basket. And Paul, even a few feet shorter probably than he was hoping for on the layup. But Zach is going to pull in the birdie and remain at 9 under.
Really good putt by Zach there.
And there was a conversation and full-blown confusion, I think, between the two of them as I was listening to them, trying to discuss who was out and who was going to go first. And you see Ilkin stepping up, jamming it in. All looking to answer, and he's been just so solid on the green all weekend.
Yeah, extremely solid. I've been really impressed with Paul's putting last round and this round.
Braeden, who's had more color than he was hoping for on the scorecard here in this final round. It's the comebacker for par and solid putt. Just 2 holes left to play, and they move over to 17 at 840 feet. Is it play that easy or not so much?
I would say not so much, Terry. This tee pad got moved back a little bit. You can see the long grass. They didn't quite mow this one as wide as they have in years past, and getting a blast of a second shot up to the small green is extremely difficult.
And I ask if it played easy because they, like you said, they actually pushed back the tee here, and they wanted to increase the challenge for our competitors, and we're seeing balls play out to that middle section. Not really any danger. It's just a matter of what is your footing going to feel like.
Ilkin looking to unleash on one here. That's a great pan to the right. And fighting out late. That's a huge drive.
He is very pleased with that. I believe he said he bought that disc last year before this tournament. He needed something that was more stable, and then it continued to slowly beat in, and now it's become one of his go-to drivers. So kind of funny that he specifically bought that disc prior to this event the year before.
Yeah,
And
we see Braeden kind of leak off to the left there over by hole 1's green. And Zach, one of our co-leaders with Paul. Ilkin chomping at the bit.
again, nose up. We'll see how much carry he gets. And that's way off on that left side, but finds the short grass.
Yeah, it's worth noting at this point, too, you've covered about 9,000 or 9,500 feet of this course. Both physical and mental fatigue over about a 4-hour round come into play at this point as well.
And this is way off the mark. That is not the local route anyone's intending. I think he'll be left with a little bit of an alley, but certainly not the ideal play. And from a pretty similar position, we're going to see if our co-leader can put himself up there for a birdie. Here's Zach.
Yeah, at this point, Zach's got to be thinking that he would love to have a birdie here, protect that lead. He's going to be in the rough. It looks like he might probably be inside circle 2, but very obstructed. Paul, after a great drive, makes a phenomenal second shot to get up there.
And this drive is just crushed by Ilkin. We saw him draw metal on the second shot during round number 2, and today he follows that up. It's even closer than where it previously landed on round 2 after hitting metal. So a tap in birdie at a crucial time for Ilkin. He's trying to get a share of the lead if possible, and we'll see what Zach can answer with. He's trying to push to 10 under.
And he gives it an attempt. It comes up low. He was still a ways down the hill. That's a really difficult putt. You really got to commit to the nose up and the spin on that one if you want to run it.
And Braeden's putter has woken up and is ready to go here. Unfortunately, just one hole left in competition for him, but trying to finish out strong. Here's Paul. He is your outright leader, 10 under par. Paul started, I believe, with a 4-stroke deficit to Zach today.
Wow. And Ilkin grabs the birdie as well there. He moves himself to 9. And Zach's still with a little bit of work to do here. You know, this hole is not over for him just yet.
Yeah, he's hearing and feeling the breathing down his neck and the footsteps of these other two competitors. He's now lost the lead, or a share of it. And he's thinking, I got to keep myself in contention here.
Yeah. Great putt to limit it to just a par. He keeps himself within 1. You know, we've talked about hole 18. Hole 18 can be a difficult hole to birdie, and here we go. 315 feet. You are going back up the hill to finish your round. This one branch that hangs out to the left here is the one to beat. You either want to go left of it or more commonly under it. And we've got 3 guys in contention coming into the last hole of the 2022 US AMs.
Oh, and that catches the one significant branch that just kind of defines the tee shot here, really. I mean, of course, you have these 2 goalposts to miss, but most people are past that, and all they're thinking is stay away from the horizontal branch.
Yeah, and Paul's still in a fine spot to get his par there, so Ilkin, teeing second, has the advantage of knowing that he really needs to give himself a birdie opportunity, and he does.
It has to feel like a confidence boost knowing the leader is not really in that position to make the birdie. So Ilkin essentially trying to determine his own fate, I guess is the best way I would word that.
Yeah, and Zach really thinking the same thing. We've seen him throw some big forehands throughout the round. This one comes out a little high. Oh, and he catches that branch. Gets a little roll. That's going to be a really tough angle to the basket. I'm certain he's going to be giving that a bid.
Yeah, you've got to be thinking about this. This goes in. I need this to go in. There's one guy that's in front of me that's at least securing the par. I've got to give this a run.
Oh, and it doesn't connect for him.
And at that point, he knows that it is very unlikely to see any more golf as it slipped away in the last few holes. Paul and his dad had a brief conversation about give this a little bit of a bid. Give yourself a chance for it to go in. And Paul's going to be still pretty close to the basket. Here's Braeden trying to close out his tournament.
Yeah, all things considered, really a good back 9 by Braeden. He really righted the ship from some early difficulty. We see Ilkin. This is his birdie attempt to get him to 10 under. In a tie with Paul.
Let's go! Come on! Come on!
Incredible. Ilkin, in the highest pressure situation of the tournament, cans the putt to give him a share of the lead along with Paul. Paul right next to the basket, so that's a tap in. Zach's going to come up short. He was the leader for so much of this tournament, but Ilkin applying the late pressure, him and Paul, you look at them, they're both 10 under. And folks, we are heading into a playoff. The PDGA Major out at the Toboggan, playoff golf. Ilkin Groh, Paul Krans. It's been incredible having you, Wes. Looking forward to the playoff. Let's get to it.